Hey, what's up guys? Sean back with another video, and we've got something a little different today. This guy was a mass killer who killed people over My Little Pony. Yeah, I know, it sounds crazy to me too. I remember hearing about this vaguely, but I don't remember much about it. I think it happened a few years ago, and he went to a FedEx facility or something like that where he used to work. But yeah, craziest set of circumstances ever that led this guy here. So I just think it could be interesting for us to check out because I watch more true crime than a lonely housewife, to be honest. So let's just check it out.
Marion County 911. Is anybody experiencing flu-like or COVID-19 symptoms?
No, somebody's shooting in my hub. I'm at FedEx in Plainsville.
What's the
And there's gunshots everywhere.
Okay,
Can you hurry?
what is the address?
The address is 8951 Mirabelle Road.
How many shots did you hear?
I don't know if anybody got shot. Can we go out down here? Can we run on way to the end and go out?
Don't go out.
I hate how they started the phone call with like, is there any COVID-19 symptoms? Like, I understand why they did that, but also how the hell is that a grown man's car with those stickers? I get behind that. I think you either have a bunch of little kids or you're a straight up chick. Like, I do not see man all over that car when I see those stickers.
Hi, stay where you're staying.
8951 Mirabelle Road.
I want you to stay with me, okay? Don't hang up, okay?
Shut that door!
When a young boy's mother notices his odd behaviors, intensifying year by year, she begins to worry about him. It began as a child when young Brandon Hole insisted on wearing 3 pairs of shorts at a time.
Okay, if your kid is wearing 3 pairs of shorts, I'm pretty sure you know there's something going on weird there. How did he ever survive like that? I wear 1 pair of shorts, and my balls are hot. I don't know how he wasn't just bat-winging all the damn time, sticking to his thighs.
That seemed innocuous enough until years later, when he developed an unusual obsession that soon went off the rails.
Oh my god. What is that on the mattress? Also, whoa, he definitely has been doing something crazy to those stuffed animals. The way that thing's tail is and the way it looks all crusty, dear God.
This was the bedroom of that same boy. Only now he was well into his teenage years, and his true love is depicted on the colorful posters hanging on these walls. The cartoon ponies you see are the central characters on a children's animated television series, My Little Pony. Most people would do anything for the love of their life.
Bro, look at that thing. It's crying. Tell me he didn't do something to that poor stuffed animal. That damn thing needs sent off to the glue factory. I know they don't make glue out of horses anymore. I'm just joking.
But few knew just how far Brandon was willing to go for his. And the ones that did know would soon wonder how they didn't see the horrific outcome staring them right in the face.
Hello?
Hi, can I speak with Brandon, please?
I guess there's nothing better to do than Indiana to give My Little Pony a bony, so...
Oh yeah, this is Brandon.
Brandon Hole was no stranger to tragedy. In this phone call with police, you'll quickly learn how his demons began to develop at such an early age. His mother, Sheila, estimates he was only 4 years old as she describes the dramatic incident you're about to hear.
I mean, he'd, be real depressed one day and be like, I ought to just do what my dad did.
How did his dad kill himself?
Dang.
Oh my god. Okay, so 4 years old. There's always some kind of trauma back there that doesn't give you the right to go do what you did by any means. But you gotta feel for a kid that young who's, like, their father does that. Like, there's just no way around feeling sad for that kid. So he grew up probably with all kinds of mental issues that probably were unaddressed that led him to where he landed.
So,
Okay. Did he find him, or did he see that?
no, he was there when we got into a real bad argument, and his dad said that, hey, whatever, if you leave with the kids, I'm going to myself, and I said, go ahead. He was, I think, 4 there.
What is the go ahead for? Like, okay, our audience is 80% female here, right? So I'm pretty sure a guy has told you that before. It's a weird manipulation tactic that some guys use to make you feel bad for leaving them. It's pathetic. If you say that, you're pathetic. Do not say it, and also don't tell him to go ahead. Because what if there's that slight % chance that just maybe he'll actually do it. And this is that slight percent.
And
It seemed this haunting memory would follow Brandon everywhere he went for the rest of his life.
That's his
Before
closet?
long, Sheila would see his struggles start to manifest in unusual behaviors, including his insistence on wearing 3 pairs of shorts at a time, the way he would rock back and forth as he watched television, and how if his routine tasks were interrupted, the whole sequence would begin again. He was eventually
Yeah, I was going to say, that's OCD. Like, I've known people that have that. It's weird the way your brain can work like that. But, yeah, that's clearly just something that developed. I don't know if it was from trauma or whatnot, but...
diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive disorder. Sensing something was off, Sheila took her troubled son to Barrington Health Center in Indianapolis. But there she would learn there was more going on than she ever knew. The first visit in 2011, when Brandon was 9, would prove to be his first of many. But with every visit, the outcomes grew worse and worse.
I mean, what did you actually... All you had to do was open the damn door. You could have found out the kid was in there fluffing stuff and all the damn time.
And ultimately, it all culminated in some of the most terrorizing moments ever caught on camera. Less than a year after being diagnosed with a bevy of disorders, including disruptive behavior disorder, anxiety, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and depression, Brandon's behaviors would soon become much more aggressive. Thanks to his ever-increasing temper, his mother took him back for another visit 1 year later. As it turned out, his mother's fears were no exaggeration.
Why are we waiting 1 whole year to take him back when he's got the damn Avengers of, like, mental disorders?
The medical records are damning evidence that prove it. From excessive lying to disrespectful behavior, Brandon's temper was now only part of a growing list of concerns. But for Brandon, it was just the beginning. It's May of 2013. Brandon is 11. A police officer was dispatched to the home Sheila and Brandon shared with Sheila's boyfriend, Keith Larson. According to Keith, he and Brandon were engaged in a water fight, and when Keith sprayed him with the garden hose, Brandon flew into an unexpected rage.
Okay, so that's weird to get that mad over something like that, but if the kid has that many disorders going on and you know he's quick to rage, I probably just wouldn't play those kind of games with him, right? Also, this kid looks like Draco Malfoy to me in my head. I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking about Harry Potter.
He'd locked himself in the bathroom where he proceeded to destroy items inside.
Actually, it kind of looks like Gobi, that little, like, elf or whatever it is on there.
Sheila alleged that she picked the lock, after which Brandon left the bathroom and Sheila became his target. That's when Brandon snapped. He punched and slapped Sheila in the face multiple times, kicked her in the legs, and bit her on the forearm. She followed as he ran for the kitchen and grabbed 2 table knives out of a drawer. Then, in a mad scramble, charged at his own mother. He trapped her.
What the hell? Also, my mom would put a beating on me. I never forgot if anything like that ever happened. But yeah, I just different generation where they actually used to do that. Discipline.
In the family room and wouldn't allow her to leave. It seemed like something unthinkable was about to happen. But just when she thought there was no escape, police arrived in the nick of time, and the madness for now came to an end. Somehow, Sheila only sustained a small wound to her right forearm, but her fears about her son's behavior leading up to this point had been all but confirmed. The incident ended in Brandon receiving several months of probation. After that incident with his mother, everything continued in the same direction, and every year, Brandon would ascend another step on that stairway to madness.
I mean, what do you do with a kid that young, though? Like, you obviously need to get him more help, because what you're doing, taking him once a year to some kind of mental professional probably isn't working, right?
He quit school in 2014 and never got beyond the 6th grade level. He stayed home, his depression ever present, and isolated from the world, worsening his condition. It seemed to manifest in his chilling search history. You've already learned about his obsession with My Little Pony, but while left alone, Brandon had been researching something far more sinister. In 2015, Brandon was assessed by the Riley Children's Foundation. His search history included an obsessive interest in mass shootings. He told the assessor that, quote, "I feel bad for the victims, the families." When asked,
Do you, though? Because I think if there's some kind of stuff going on like this, the first thing you should do is check their internet search history. You shouldn't look at mine because I search weird stuff all the damn time. Like, I'm not even going to tell you what mine says. But the last thing I Googled was crazy.
If he could put himself in the shoes of the perpetrators, he denied it, saying, "I don't want to waste my time doing something like that. It's a hassle," and that he wouldn't want to cause families any trauma. Chillingly, the assessor concluded that Brandon seemed to empathize with the victims, despite the fact that he also admitted to sharing memes and jokes about them with his friends. Then, the day came when 18-year-old Brandon made the decision to follow through with something he'd planned to do for quite some time.
That was 18 years old? No wonder the kid's pissed off all the time. He looks like he's 12.
It's March 2nd, 2020.
And he was like, well, drive me to the gun store and I'll just look around. On the way to the gun store, we saw a sticker that said hashtag stop the life. And he's like, there's your sign. And I was like, okay, well, if you buy a gun, there's your sign. You know, I got to take that away from you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and he did buy it without bullets.
The store was...
thank God, because you can't find them anywhere else, right? I'm just going to take my son that's quick to rage to the gun store. I'm a friggin' mom of the year. Like, what are we doing here, lady?
Out of ammunition that day. That night, Sheila and her daughter devised a plan. The situation was far too perilous, and they couldn't just sit back and watch to see what became of it. They had to act. If not, Sheila feared, perhaps Brandon would follow through and take his own life, just as his father had done several years prior. Or something much, much worse. The following...
here's your sign. He did much, much worse, but obviously giving him a tool that he could do that with, probably not the best call. Like, how many red flags do you need, lady? This is like the chick that just dates this crazy guy who keeps doing all this weird stuff and, like, I don't know. I guess you can get in that kind of... I forget what it's called. Whenever you're, like, just stuck in a cycle with a guy. So I guess that doesn't count. I forget what it's called. There's some word for it. I don't know.
Morning, they traveled to the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department and filed a case report telling of his troubled past and how he planned to point his shotgun at police, thereby ensuring his death. Later that same day, on March 3rd, several officers and members of the Indianapolis Mobile Crisis Assistance Team, or MCAT, responded to Sheila's home. Upon entering, Brandon was placed in handcuffs, with the police report stating that Brandon had become quite anxious, and his...
Boy, if those friggin' walls could talk, you'd hear some weird stuff out of there. Also, he has all the little action figures and CDs. Like, how old is this? I used to burn CDs when I was in high school, but I haven't seen them in a hot minute.
His main focus was ensuring that no one looked at his computer. What police would find on that computer would leave Sheila utterly shocked, with the search revealing extremist websites in his history. At this time, Brandon's gun was confiscated under Indiana's red flag law. When Brandon was taken to Eskenazi Hospital for further assessment, she hoped he'd be put on a 72-hour hold. But instead, somehow, he was in and out in under 2 hours.
What is he? Did he buy a 22? Because those are 22 bullets. But how could this kid be this many red flags and be let out in 2 hours? There was just so many failures the whole way around right here.
To Sheila's utter surprise, an emergency medicine doctor determined there was no diagnosis, and Brandon denied having any issues. What's more shocking, there's no record that indicates a formal psychological assessment was ever conducted on Brandon during this visit, despite Sheila's cries for help. A few days after the visit to Eskenazi Hospital, a detective contacted Sheila concerning his confiscated...
Where the hell did this kid get, like, Pawpaw's shotgun from?
...shotgun.
I just needed to talk to you about what happened with Brandon. My role in this is simply just to see if we're going to file a retention case. If they file a retention case, he would also be deemed to be a dangerous person, which only means that he wouldn't be able to purchase a firearm.
Because he is.
This isn't a criminal record, and it's not, you can't even see it. Like, if somebody were to search for criminal cases and stuff, these cases don't go into there because they're just civil.
Those were definitely not 223 rounds. They were definitely 22s, but alright.
Once they get filed, like if I needed to check on one, I can't even do it. I have to send an email to the prosecutor's office and ask them to look because they're the only ones that can access it, so to see like what the status of it is.
Then, when the FBI visited with Sheila the following month, they would unknowingly add fuel to the fire. An agent, along with another officer, visited Sheila's home and asked to meet with Brandon. When the agent asked Brandon what he planned to do with his life, Brandon replied that perhaps he could join the FBI. In response, the agent made it clear that wouldn't be an option for him.
Would you trust this kid in the FBI? Hell no. Also, when I was in middle school, I used to say the FBI was female body inspector. Did anybody else say that?
Perhaps this was the straw that broke the camel's back. It would be exactly 1 year to this very day that Brandon would unleash the inner demons he'd been harboring since early childhood. At the conclusion of the meeting, all intelligence that had been gathered on Brandon revealed the last thing Sheila or any mother would ever want to hear about their own son. Brandon had all the makings of a mass shooter. Some of the red flags that the FBI may have recognized in Brandon were that he was
3 pairs of shorts, like an army jacket, all these stuffed animals everywhere that look like they'd definitely been stuffed. He's breaking that horse's back every night. Like, those are a lot of red flags, at least in my opinion.
a loner with feelings of rejection from society, as well as feeling like he was being treated unfairly, and his belief that he was a victim. Other red flags that Brandon showed were his symptoms of depression, homicidal thoughts, violent fantasies, and anger problems.
You know, I don't want to say that he was a victim, but he definitely was failed in a lot of ways by his mom and the system. I can't call him a victim because he did something so terrible, but he definitely was let down on a certain amount of fronts as a child. So on that front, I feel for him. But since he did such a terrible thing, what else can you say to that? Like, no, you're not the victim here. You are the victimizer.
In conjunction with the other warning signs were his traits of narcissism, and most concerning of all, his fixation on past school shootings and mass murderers. Despite the exchange with the FBI agent, Brandon, for a time, seemed to be on the up and up. He found a job in 2020, and he seemed to enjoy working at the local FedEx SmartPost facility. Maybe this was the new beginning Sheila had hoped for after all those arduous years. Maybe Brandon was finally improving. But it wasn't the case, and in fact, he was only just ascending into peak madness. In the months before he would do the unthinkable, Brandon quit showing up for work.
So he went full-time, he was doing what you're supposed to do, like out here adulting, and then just all of a sudden, he just stopped showing up? That's so weird. But I guess when you have that many mental issues, who's to say what you're going to feel like one day to the next, right?
He couldn't bring himself to get out of bed. By October, his stint at the FedEx facility had officially come to an end. It was mid-March of 2021, and Brandon had moved back to his mother's home. Once again, Sheila had to fight the system in order to get her son in front of a mental health professional before he was finally assessed. Multiple pages of notes named a variety of Brandon's conditions, amongst them generalized anxiety disorder, recurrent major depressive disorder. Meanwhile, even while he was in therapy, this is an actual list of the items he was purchasing. As he was making these purchases, he attended another session with a social worker. But by now, Brandon had reached the point.
So all he's doing is ordering a bunch of mags and then oil, gun oil. Like, he's clearly preparing for something here. And nobody ever thought, hey, we're getting all these orders from, I wish I could see what the website was up there, but that should definitely be another red flag. They should have him on a list where if that stuff's shipped to his house, hey, something's about to happen. We need to go check on this kid.
Point of no return. The following day, he attended a session with a different social worker, stating he had no empathy and no care for the lives of others, including his own flesh and blood. 2 weeks later, in what would be his final counseling session, he stated the same thing again. But what he added this time was chilling. Brandon claimed he was a danger to society and that society should fear him. And he was right.
Marion County 911.
There's been a shooting. Okay. Multiple shots. How many shots were fired? A lot.
I know that the dispatchers are supposed to gather a lot of information, but I'm not friggin' counting, dude. What? You expect me to stand out here and count for you? A lot.
Started the night Brandon quietly departed home, never to return again, en route to his final destination, the FedEx Smart Post facility sometime around 11 p.m. on April 15th, 2021. That particular evening was nothing out of the ordinary. Sheila returned home from work with dinner for Brandon and found him to be in a pleasant mood. After he ate, he took a relaxing bath, then they both went to bed. Or
That's another red flag. If you're a man and you take a lot of baths, I know people always bring up, oh, John Wayne took baths. At least that's what my grandmother always says. I'm like, no, men just shower.
so Sheila thought. Once inside the FedEx Smart Post facility, Brandon makes his way through, savagely opening fire on everyone in his path. Then he moves through the lobby, assassinating employees at random as they attempt to run for their lives. Soon after, he returns to the parking lot and immediately opens fire on those unfortunate enough to be in close proximity.
Bruh, people like this are the reason I am taking my concealed carry course. Like, I am not going out like this.
911 calls flood local dispatchers as Brandon continues his murderous undertaking.
I think there's possibly multiple shooters. I hear them outside. I'm in the control room. There's 3 of us in here. Sorry.
Okay, so what I need for you guys to do, like I said, stay down, make sure your door is locked. Put something against that door if you can to keep yourself safe, okay?
Please. There's someone upstairs.
Okay, they're on.
Can you imagine how scared you would be to be in that room? Like, because you have nothing to defend yourself, and someone's just wandering around, just putting an end to all these people's lives. That would be creepy as hell, man. They didn't have any, like, armed security anywhere. Like, you'd think they would at a FedEx facility, since so much mail and stuff comes through there.
On the way, they're on the way.
In a matter of minutes, the premises transformed into a nightmare.
There's somebody on the parking lot with a rifle shooting. We got the guy in here. We got him in here. He's been shot.
Okay.
He's in our shack with us.
Hey, stay on the line for me. Let me get medics on the phone. I'm not going to hang up, okay? Stay with me.
There is at least one person down. Send an ambulance or 2, please.
Yeah, we have the ambulance and the officers en route.
But they have an AR-15. I'm not sure how many other guns they have, but I know they at least have 1 assault rifle.
They're still shooting.
Okay, okay, stay on the line. They're already on the way to you, okay? But stay on the line with me. Keep yourself safe. I need you to let me know anything that happens, okay?
I just feel for these people, because you can hear the panic in their voice, obviously, right? But that has to cause all kinds of issues down the line, like PTSD, all that stuff. Again, I'm not a medical professional, just a 5th grade peer mediator, so don't take anything I'm saying as fact, but I'm just talking out loud here.
Right now, I just hear a lot of gunshots and a lot of people around.
Okay, hold on. Stay on the line.
The emergency calls continue to pour in as the casualties are mounting. Dispatchers frantically assist callers as the horror continues to unfold.
We have shots fired. We need police. They're still shooting as we speak. He's already shot about 5 people. The shooters in the building.
You said there were 5 people shot there? Or he got...
The first officers are arriving at the scene. Dispatchers and responding officers communicate in real time. However, in the midst of the chaos, details are not yet clear.
Have we confirmed whether we have 1 or 2 shooters?
Reports are saying 2 shooters.
I mean, obviously, cops are there. They're rushing into a scene where they know there's an active shooter, so, like, hats off to them for being brave and doing that. But it just makes me think of, like, those Uvalde kids where the cops just kind of sat back and they were like, no, we can't go in yet. And it kind of just makes me mad.
Shooters. Okay, is it 1 person, 2 person?
Can't tell, just multiple rifle shots, but it sounds like the same report, so I'm assuming 1.
Okay, are they inside or outside?
Last they were outside.
Okay.
I'm getting information that he is still inside the building from somebody pulling off the lot.
Footage reveals that after carrying out his plan, Brandon returned to an earlier location in the FedEx facility. Without so much as a shred of hesitation, he then proceeded to end one more life, his own.
Okay, so you went out like a punk. You sat there, did all this to all these poor people, and then you couldn't deal with the consequences. Again, I know you're fighting your own demons, but why was this the answer? And that's the reason I always want to know, like, what made them have that moment? What drove them to that decision? And I just wish I could get inside their head for like 5 minutes just to see how they were thinking in that moment.
Employees on site continue to place calls, begging and pleading for help in this surreal nightmare that has been sprung upon them without warning. As far as they are aware, the shooter is still preying on victims.
Is there someplace you can get safe? I want you to stay safe, okay?
I don't know because I still hear gunshots and they're inside the building.
Is there someplace you can hide? Is there a desk, something you can get under?
I'm at door 235. There is a trailer on this door. Get under. Slide under that.
Someplace where you can stay safe, okay? Really well, okay? Stay with me, okay?
As Natasha and another employee remain hidden, well over 100 officers are dispatched to the scene.
2 more down, car in parking lot, white Toyota Camry.
Another one down by Silver Explorer, front row.
Damn, that's just so sad. But again, why didn't they have armed security? Like, when I was 19, I did a security job. It was the most boring damn job I ever had. I sat there and watched paint dry. But they didn't give me a weapon or anything. I literally was in charge of watching a door. Like, I sat there and watched people come in and waved at them. Sometimes I got to have fun and call HR and sing a little song or something, but that was it.
Control, advise Eskenazi will have multiple patients. Advise them to be ready.
I'm outside the lobby. I had to get all the people out. He couldn't get through the turnstiles, but he was sticking the gun through. So when he went out to the parking lot, I rushed everybody back through our second set of turnstiles and sent them in the truck.
Is there a certain entrance number or door that we can note here in the run so they know where to get to you? And how many people are with you?
I can get the cops through. Uh-oh, somebody's at the door out there. Is that a police officer or is it him again? It's a police officer. It's a police officer.
Judy encounters the officers as they make their way through the building to secure the scene. Dispatchers check in with callers who have remained on the lines.
The officers know where you are, okay? I've put that in there, okay? Do you want to stay on the line with me until you get there?
Don't leave me.
Okay.
If you're a dispatcher, what are you thinking in that moment? Because obviously people are panicking, all this is going on, it's very fast, right? But you're supposed to just sit there and calm them down? Like, I don't know how I could do that. In that moment, adrenaline pumping all through you like you're freaking out, that would be a tough job, man. You're going to hear all kinds of horrors, right?
I'm not going to leave you. I will not leave you then, okay? I'm going to stay with you then, okay? You're fine, okay? That's perfectly fine.
After more than 30 minutes with the dispatcher, Natasha's wait is over.
Help! 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 I'm under.
Allegedly, because of the facility's policy that employees couldn't carry cell phones in certain areas, some workers may not have been able to phone for help or contact friends and family during the shooting.
Are you kidding me? Just so they couldn't get on friggin' like Instagram in between like packages? Let them have. Well, I guess there's people's personal information, right? So that kind of makes sense, but that's just a shitty policy to get people in this situation like totally hemmed up.
The killing spree had come to an end, but the aftermath of the attack is difficult to fathom.
He shot so many people. Oh my God, he got Osco, and Osco's only been here a week. They're dead out here.
8 innocent, unwitting victims' lives ended abruptly.
Bro, 8 people. And one guy was there 1 week. Could you imagine how his family feels? Like they're happy, he just got a new job, whatever. 1 week later, some weirdo comes in there who's suffering with all these demons, right? He's got all his own issues, so... But that's no reason to justify doing this. But he comes in there and takes your life. I just don't know how your mom deals with something like that. Or even, like, say he had kids. Like, it's crazy.
Soon, Brandon is located by officers as they confirm that he is now deceased. It was then...
Did it just say that that was his shirt during... This dude went all psycho like that with a pony shirt? Bro, people are scary as hell. You never know what somebody's thinking.
That Brandon's disturbing motive was revealed. Brandon was heartbroken over a My Little Pony character. In his final Facebook post on April 15th, 2021, he wrote, "I hope that I can be with Applejack in the afterlife."
Oh my God, Applejack, really? Dude's turning Applejack into an apple fritter every night, extra glazing. And then they take her off the show, and this is what drove you to do it? Holy shit, you... Oh my God, you psycho.
Life has no meaning without her. If there's no afterlife and she isn't real, then my life never mattered anyway.
But I kind of just need to talk to you about what happened that day and how you're feeling about whether you'd want it back or if you...
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but I don't want it back at all. It's fine.
What would be your goal for us to do with the gun?
Just destroy it. Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah, but this sounds like him with like more rational thought, or maybe he's planning to go through with this later on, so he's just going to say what he thinks you want to hear. So...
Because I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about getting my life back on track. I don't have any mental health issues that I'm...
You poor stuffed animal. All the horrors you've seen. Look at that thing. That tail is definitely crusted up. Buddy really was going in deep in there, buddy. Giving the Applejack the applesauce.
Aware of. I don't think I do. And I wouldn't say depressed, but my feelings to the reason why I got a gun is because I wanted to show my best friend who's really into hunting and stuff. Mainly also for like the fun of shooting it.
I mean, if you're getting it back on track, I don't know what it's off track of it unless it's just that you didn't get your high school diploma.
I mean,
screw high school. Buddy dropped out in 6th grade, which is another place that his mom kind of failed here along the line, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, off track. I mean, it's that. I mean, I'd say that. I mean, do you think this, like, not doing anything with your life is on track? I mean, I don't think
so. But I also think that could make me sad and depressed if I felt like a failure or whatever, but apparently that's not what you're feeling, so...
I just signed up for GED.
You know, that's why I always tell people that, like, you can get off track, right? Because the only hole you can't dig yourself out of is the grave, and I tell people that over and over. This kid just let all his demons and the loss of this fictional character drive him to a craziest scenario I think I've ever heard. So
I'm gonna get my GED. I'm going to counseling or therapy, or I'm not really sure what the correct term is.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to get my life back on track, and I'm really trying hard.
The FBI concluded Brandon's purpose was to demonstrate his masculinity and capability while fulfilling a final desire to experience killing people. It was a moment in time that further reinforced the importance of not only recognizing red flags, but acting upon them too.
Definitely.
Those 8 lives that were lost that day ranged in age from 19 years to 74 years.
Oh my God. So that was people's kids, parents, maybe grandparents, 74, and they were just taken way too soon by some kid who lost a fictional character and wanted to feel masculine? Like, what the hell is masculine about that? You're not getting any tough points for walking in somewhere and shooting a bunch of unarmed people. You weird... Ugh.
And include Matthew Alexander, Samaria Blackwell, Amarjeet Johal, Jasvinder Kaur, Jaswinder Singh, Amarjeet Sekhan, Carly Smith, and John Weissert. Brandon's mother wants her son to know that when she cries these days, it's not for him, it's for the victims. If she could talk to him today, she'd say, I grieve those people more than I
ever grieve you. But yeah, obviously she's going to feel that way. But somewhere along the line, this kid showed all these red flags and you didn't act upon them. So part of me is feeling like you should have been way out ahead of this. And the other part of me is feeling this kid just had far too many demons and he took it out on a bunch of people that didn't like deserve that at all. So rest in peace to all of you. It's extremely sad that this is what can come from like having all these mental disorders that are not handled properly. Somebody could have like helped this kid somewhere way down the line, and it would have been, or I mean ahead, like way earlier, and it would have just been a much different situation. At least I hope it would have. But alright guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all later. Peace.